Duke Eclipse presents the Horror Hideout Podcast, a podcast covering everything horror, including books, comics, and movies. Presented by Dawson Duke and Kayla Bullock.
Welcome back to Horror Hideout. This is our entirely book month.
Which I'm so excited about. We could do an entire movie podcast and then have a separate one for books. Yeah. I'd be perfectly okay with that.
I don't think we have time for that though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Books take a lot more time. But today we are doing one of my favorite graphic novel series I've ever read. Graphic novel? Am I right? Okay.
I mean, they're originally comic books, but they're collected in graphic novel format, so either one works.
Comic books, whatever. It is called I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young.
Fairyland.
What did I say?
You said Fairyland.
I Hate Fairyland. So you introduced me to this one.
I did.
And I only read I don't know if you just got me if you just had the first episode or first issue.
I don't know.
I liked it so much, but you actually bought me. Did you buy me this?
Yeah, I bought you the omnibus. I did not buy you the sequel ones. You bought those yourself, but I bought you that one, and I got you that signed first issue.
Yes, I have a framed signed first issue of I Hate Fairyland.
Which, if all works out, you should be seeing on screen.
Yes. I will say, though, that I love Gertrude, and I love this series. I do not like the sequels.
I don't
We'll
either.
talk about that toward the end, because you had some stuff about that, but let's dive in.
So, I mean, this is your favorite, do you want to give a brief plot synopsis?
So, Gertrude is 7 or 8 years old. I think she's 7. 8?
I don't remember.
And she is playing in her bedroom, and she wishes to go on an adventure, and she gets sucked through her carpet into Fairyland.
Yes.
And so the majority of the book takes place 27 years later, while she is still stuck in Fairyland. And she still looks like her 7-year-old self.
Yeah.
But she is very jaded, and the whole point was she had to find a key to be able to get out of Fairyland.
Yeah.
And she's been looking for this key for 27 years and still has not found it.
And it seems like she answers everything with violence.
Yeah.
And that's why she hasn't really been able to find the key.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't really care about trying to get through the puzzles and stuff. She just immediately starts killing people.
Yeah. And it's very, we were talking about this before we started recording, Fairyland is this beautiful kind of magical place where everything's pink and purple and rainbows, and then you've got her who just takes whatever she has and kills everybody.
And, in the first issue, it starts out and the moon is narrating the story for us. And then his head gets blasted in half by... Do they call her Gertie?
I think so. I mean, everybody else calls her Gertrude. I don't know what. I don't remember what Larry calls her.
Anyway, she blasts apart the moon, and then there's kind of an ongoing thing throughout the book where new narrators are introduced, and she ends up killing them in different ways.
Yeah. And so when she gets to Fairyland, she's assigned kind of like a guardian angel kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's a little fly named Larry.
Yeah.
And he's like a chain-smoking, I don't know if I don't really think he was like that at the beginning, but the more
No, because we get an issue that's, kind of his backstory. And he was very, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed going into it and stuff, and she was his first person ever.
Yeah.
And so he's grown jaded because of her.
Yeah, they're not supposed to have somebody for 27 years.
Yeah.
And somebody who kills everything she sees that moves, pretty much. This girl has no control over her temper.
No.
It's pretty bad. So we meet the queen, Claudia.
Yeah.
Because it's Cloudia, so it's Claudia. And they welcome Gertie into...
And I'm going to say this real quick. I don't necessarily think this is strictly a horror comic. It's more of a horror comedy or a comedy with horror elements.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad.
Right.
I just wanted to preface with that.
But so they welcome her in. She meets Larry. They tell her, this is what you have to do. And then it's basically her going through the world trying to find this key.
So she can get back home.
Yeah. But some of the we meet a girl later on. So the queen cannot hurt Gertie as long as she is a guest in Fairyland. Well, she's had enough of her, so she sends a hunter after her. And you were talking about this, so I'm gonna let you talk about this one because this is issue 2. I always say episode, but issue 2.
I mean, if you say episode, we know what you mean. But so she hires this hunter, and he looks like a Conan the Barbarian type. And so you're like, oh, it's probably going to lead into an arc where he's like hunting her down or whatever. And literally the next issue just opens with his head on a table and she's killed him. And one thing that Scotty Young does a lot throughout this series is he knows what the audience is expecting to happen. He knows the tropes, and he goes away from them. And so stuff like that happens where like all this stuff must have happened off screen, but we don't see it.
And it's so funny because she's sitting at a bar with his head on the table and like having a whole conversation between her and this dead guy's head. So just things like that. Like she's very violent and very like, and I mean she's a 7-year-old girl and he's like you say Conan the Barbarian, I was thinking Viking type guy. Yeah. Probably just because of the long blonde hair, but like picture a big guy. I mean tall, muscular guy with all these weapons, and this little 7-year-old was able to wipe him out.
And I will say one thing throughout the book, there's also a lot of references to other things. Like there's a part later on where she gets to like a maze, and there's a guy in it that's like a parody of David Bowie's character from Labyrinth.
Yeah. And you were talking about there's a part in this, is it Compendium? There's a part in Compendium where
it was a free comic book day special called I Hate Image, where Gertie is going through different Image universes. So she runs into like Rick from The Walking Dead and Savage Dragon and I don't know who all, but and I don't know if this is one where we really need to go beat for beat throughout the story.
Yeah, I just want to say that this story, the artwork and the way this is written kind of reminds me of Zim.
Yeah.
It's
not as sharp as Zim. Like Zim has a lot of angles and stuff, and this has a lot more roundness to it. But
I think it's like, so I know you said we're not gonna go through the whole thing like scene for scene, but like, so when she's in this bar, she wishes that she could look like an adult because she looked, how she would normally look, and so she's drinking a wish potion she didn't know she was drinking, and it turns her into this like
overweight,
like what do they call her, like level 20 or diabetes type 25 or something, like some ridiculous level. Type 19 diabetic tumor. Too many Christmas, I can't talk. So then she sends a witch after her, and the witch fails too.
Yeah.
And so Happy is probably one of my favorite parts of this whole story. So there's a rule in Fairyland that if
because there's kind of like a big book of rules that they keep looking throughout, which is like where they get the you can't kill a guest, and then where they come up with this from.
Yeah. So if there's another guest and they find the key before
the previous guest
becomes a permanent citizen. So then they can harm her.
Yes.
So they bring in Happy. And Happy's this little girl. I'd say she's probably like 5.
Yeah.
And she's all bubbly and big-eyed, and of course Gert hates her because she says it's taken me 27 years to get to this spot on the map and you're already here. And so
yeah, she does everything like she does, like in a week she does what Gertie has not been able to do in 27 years.
It was a day.
Yeah.
It was a day because she says
Okay.
And so she ends up getting the key.
Yeah.
Well, Gert goes and talks to
the
Dead Death.
Yeah.
Papa Dead Death or something is what they call him.
Yeah. And he's like an evil king in another world, in like another area of Fairyland.
Yeah. So Fairyland is all these different areas. I don't know if you mentioned that, but it's kind of like different neighborhoods, but they've all got their own creatures and stuff.
Yeah.
And so she ends up getting into a fight with Happy, and
well, first she befriends that guy.
Yeah.
That evil king.
Yeah.
And he like hugs her and is like, "You're the daughter I never had."
Yeah.
So
I like this scene here. I'm just flipping through the book, but I like this scene here too where she's really upset, and so she just lays there on the ground, and Larry builds an entire house and spend all winter there and all that, and then
doesn't he have like a whole family too?
Yeah.
And then they leave him, so he burns the house down.
Yeah, and then she's got this green curly hair, and by the end of it, it's like she's got a beard and everything, and But this is where that's after that is when she meets Happy. So Happy actually gets the key, and after Gert proves herself to, what do they call? Is it death?
No, I don't think it so, because maybe, but I don't think so.
What's he call himself? I just looked through this earlier and was Darketh Dead Death.
Okay.
Is his name. And so she beats his dungeon, and so she can use his powers. And so she uses a dragon, and she actually ends up killing the queen too. So she has to become queen.
Well, what happens first is she opens like a chasm in the ground that Happy falls into, and then she slams it shut.
Yeah.
And that's how Happy dies.
Yeah. But then she kills the queen, and she has to become the queen.
Yeah. Because she's like just about to put the key in the door, and she's like, well, I want to kill the queen first, and then kills the queen, and then...
Because the queen says something about, we're sorry that your goodbye is not ending in more death, and she's like, well, it can.
Yeah. And then I think Larry's like, you shouldn't have done that, and she's like, why?
Yeah.
And then, like, next issue, she's on the throne.
Yeah. And
so if you kill the queen, you have to become the queen.
Yeah, so she's not a very good queen either.
No, everything starts kind of going to crap.
Yeah.
And so she kind of gets paranoid and stuff too, and starts living indoors all the time. Mm-hmm. And then one of the, I don't know, counselor or whatever comes to her and is like, hey, you're not doing a very good job as queen. And she's like, oh no, are you going to kill me? And they're like, no, we just don't want you to be queen anymore. Like, you're fired, essentially.
So she burns the castle down and runs off.
Yeah.
And we haven't really touched on this, but the art in here is just so fun.
Yeah,
like, it's just so much fun. Like, I just flipped to this one. It's issue 7, and she's standing outside of a not a porta potty, an outhouse, waiting to go to the bathroom, and behind her is this line of really cute dragons. Just stuff like that. Like, so then we meet Duncan. You want to talk about Duncan?
Duncan is, I don't know how old he's supposed to be. I'd say probably similar age, maybe a little bit younger than Gert when she initially came in. And he wears, like, dragon pajamas. And he goes to, like, and he's in, like, he's, like, on Earth. Like, he's in the real world. And he goes, does he go to the bathroom? Yeah, he goes to the bathroom behind, like, the toy store he's in. Because he has to go really bad. And I think he's struggling to get the suit off whenever he falls through a portal into Fairyland.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, from what we learn later, he was not, like, an invited guest. Like, he accidentally fell in.
And don't they figure out that has something to do with Gert because she's been there so long? She's like,
I don't know.
Kind of screwing things up in Fairyland.
Could be. But
like this scene, this page right here, she's talking to things that kind of look like Ewoks.
Yeah. But he ends up coming out at just the perfect time to, like, pee in a gas tank for Gert. Because they need dragon pee to run their van, or whatever it is. I think it's a flying van, isn't it?
I think so. Yep.
And it ends up working for a second, and then the van crashes.
But he's so cute in his little dragon costume.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, basically the rest of the issues are kind of more of the same thing. But, like, this issue here, they've done it kind of like anime style. Would you call that anime?
Yeah. She goes into, like, a video game, and it looks like Final Fantasy or something like that.
And then, that's not the same type of video game, is it? Like, to me, she looks different there.
I mean, it kind of just looks like a fighting game. But eventually, Gert decides to be good.
Yes.
And it works. She starts actually getting stuff done, and I think she ends up finding the key to get home. But just when she's about to leave, is it that Claudia comes back as, like, Dark Claudia?
I think so.
And they talk about how lazy that is.
Yeah.
And then ends up killing her.
One thing I want to say in between all of this is we just see Larry getting worse and worse and worse. Like,
yeah.
He just...
Yeah. But we also kind of see him getting close with her.
Yeah, but as far as like his physical appearance and his smoking and stuff, he just gets worse. He kind of reminded me of
Jiminy Cricket?
No, the Firefly.
Ray?
Yeah.
Ray from Princess and the Frog.
Yeah. And so this issue here, she's a samurai, and so.
Yeah. Well, and there's like one where she goes to pretty much like a Comic-Con and she meets like a fan of hers, but she ends up kind of hating the fan. She gets annoyed with her because she's following her around all the time and doing stuff, and I think she starts to make some progress on getting the key, and then the her fan steps in and like kills the person, and so Gert is just like over her, and ends up shoving her off a cliff, and then I think after that's when she kind of decides to be good.
So do you want to talk about issue 13, which is Larry's backstory? You were just talking a little bit about it to me.
What I was saying is it's drawn by a guy who wrote a lot of the Simpsons comics. It's like they had a guest artist come in, and so he drew a lot of the Simpsons comics and Futurama comics and stuff. But Larry's backstory is essentially that he was kind of, his family had, like, his parents had a lot of kids.
And he was one of 800 born at the same time.
But he's the only one that makes it to adulthood. The rest of them all, like, kill each other off and stuff. And he ends up working in the dung mines for a little bit, which is what his dad wanted him to do. And so he kind of was resigned to doing that, and then his dad dies. So he can kind of do whatever he wants. So he ends up getting a degree and becoming a guide. And then the first person he's ever paired with is Gert.
And he expected it to be, like, happy. Like.
Yeah. And he expected to get, like, a new one every however long it takes him to find the key.
Right.
And now he's been stuck with the same one for years.
Yeah. So, yeah, we do see his backstory, and then. So, there's a lot to this. Like, because we're doing, like, 20 issues of this, so I'm still just kind of flipping through, but. This is when she decides she's gonna be good.
Well, and doesn't she, when Gert's a samurai, she's decided she's not gonna attack anyone unless they attack her first. But then she accidentally she saves the baby, but the person she saved the baby for is actually gonna eat the baby. And ends up eating the baby.
Yeah.
And so, she's kind of, after that, I think she kind of has a talk with Larry about how hard it is to be good.
Yeah. So then she ends up in hell, and we didn't talk about this at first, but when we first meet her and she's still at home, her room is all pink and it's all girly and it's all fluffy and it's just, and so she's in hell, and she goes to a door and we see her.
First, I want to talk about hell a little bit before we get to that part. When she first gets down to hell, there's someone sitting on the throne, and it's Happy wearing an eye patch. But then the next issue reveals it's not that, because that's like a cheap thing that people do a lot. It's like, oh, the person that died comes back. It's actually just the devil taking different forms. And so he appears as like the barbarian that was going after, in all these different people we've met and have died, and even like an evil version of her and stuff.
Yeah, and Claudia.
Yeah.
Is in there.
And none of it really affects her, so that's whenever the door appears.
Yeah, and so she goes home.
Yep.
And she sees her mom and dad, and they're all happy. They're back together. And so Mom keeps making pancakes, and they're trying to get her to eat breakfast to get ready for school. And they start getting really creepy, and she realizes this isn't real.
Yeah, and like they're eating a bunch of food, and they're like getting bigger and screaming at her to eat.
And one thing we didn't talk about, which this is probably one of my favorite parts of the whole series, is she has a really dirty mouth, but you can't cuss in Fairyland.
And you know what it made me think of?
What?
The Good Place.
I don't know what that is.
It's a TV show where there's a woman and she died. Well, you don't see her die, but basically it's like she wakes up and she's in the good place, which is like heaven pretty much, but she's not supposed to be there. And so when she's trying to cuss, it's like holy shirt and stuff like that. Like she cannot cuss because of the rules of the world.
Well, like when she wants to say the F word, she says fluff. Like it's just, and so when she goes on these rants, it's like fluff, 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 fluff. So
what does she call people? Fluffer muffins?
muffin fluffers.
There you go.
You can figure out what that's supposed to
Yeah.
be. So she ends up back in her bedroom, and the devil comes and drags her back to Fairyland.
Yeah.
And she's not happy to be there. Who does he remind you of? He looks like something from something else. The devil.
He reminds me
That?
the dude from Fantasia.
That's not what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
So now she's back in Fairyland, and we find Duncan again.
Yeah. When does she see the vision? At some point, she sees, like, visions of the future where Duncan has become, like, a giant, like, literally like a giant dragon, and is killing a bunch of people and
I
stuff.
think that's at the very end.
I don't think it is.
Well, I mean, so right here, he's getting upset because the witch tried to go after him.
Okay.
So he's getting angry, and I think it's right after he gets angry.
Well, anyway, I think her future self ends up somehow sending a message to her past self or something and ends up undoing it. But then Duncan still starts to develop some of the dragon traits. Like, he can fly and he can breathe fire and stuff, but he doesn't go evil.
And so, Claudia returns, but it's evil Claudia.
So how does she die then? Because I thought it was when Dark Claudia returned. How does she end up dying?
Who? Gert?
Yeah. When she ends up in hell?
Oh. I don't remember.
I don't either. Because I thought it was when Dark Claudia came back, she killed her, but... So I was thinking that Dark Claudia came back and killed her, but that's not what happened. She's still her happy self, and she has a lollipop in her mouth, and she's got the key, and she's getting ready to leave, and she trips, and the lollipop goes to the back of her head and kills her.
Yeah. And that's how she ends up in hell.
And that is one thing I will say. This does have gore in it. Like, it's not...
Yeah.
It's, like, cartoony, but it's still gory.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some parts of it that are pretty dark. So then evil Claudia comes back, and this is when you were talking about Duncan. This is when Duncan starts to realize that he goes to Larry and is like, hey, I really need her help. And Larry's like, well, she's dead. So then he starts turning into kind of the dragon, like breathing fire and stuff like that. And so Duncan ends up actually going to the council, which we saw earlier, we didn't talk about, but Claudia went to them.
I had kind of mentioned it.
To get permission to send stuff after, or to bring another, I think it was to bring another kid in there so they could get rid of Gert.
So it seems like the people in the council are just like kings and queens from every region.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that the death guy is a part of the council. Like, I don't think he's on their side. So, when Gert is in hell, the devil's like, the only way to torture you is to send you back to Fairyland. So, he supposedly sends her back to Fairyland, but it's a fake version of Fairyland that he's made. And she has, like, her own version of Larry and stuff, but I think she even knows that it's not real. That it's all just kind of, that it's still in hell.
Right.
So, Duncan and Larry end up coming down to hell and pulling her out.
Yeah. Because Duncan says she's the only one who can defeat Dark Claudia.
Yeah.
So they go before the council, and the council tells her that... I'm just going to read this word for word. The ancient Fairyland texts say once the hearts of the council are combined, they wield a power beyond all understanding, but only if gifted to a guest to be used in the direst of times. So they actually give pieces of their heart, all of the council members, to Gert to give her the power to beat
Dark Claudia. So is that when we see the future with Duncan being a big dragon
we have the battle with Dark Claudia.
So when is the future where she sees Duncan as giant dragon? Because I thought that was before this, but maybe it's not.
I haven't seen that at all.
So it is before this. Somewhere in one of the previous issues, there's a part where Gert has to choose between two hallways, and the goblin, it looks like a goblin that's guarding it, tells her if she chooses wrong, it'll have dire consequences. Well, she just kind of runs down one willy-nilly, and it leads to 100 years in the future, Duncan being a big, bad, evil dragon that's destroying Fairyland. So she ends up going back in time to warn her past self, and then her past self still runs down the wrong hallway. Because she won't even listen to herself.
Typical.
And, like, the future Gert has, like, a mohawk, but it's still the curls.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
So...
Anyway, back with Dark Claudia.
Yeah, so she ends up defeating Dark Claudia, and she gets to go home. Finally, after 27 years. And that is where this one ends.
Well, you got I Hate Image in there at the end, but it's not. It's
not part of the story.
Yeah, it's kind of just its own thing. So,
but one of the things I like is at the back of this, there's variant covers for all of the issues, and I think those are kind of neat.
Well, at the end, when she gets back to the real world, we see her as an adult at, like, an office job, and she, for a second, she gets really swamped at her job, and she goes to search in Google how to get back to Fairyland, and then changes her mind and says, F Fairyland.
Yep. Oh, and she can actually say it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Which is where it should end.
Yes.
That should be it.
So, the next series is her as an adult, and she actually goes back to Fairyland.
And it's stupid.
I did not like it at all.
And you know another thing they do in there?
What?
So in this book, they make fun of the trope of, like, someone dies and then comes back later as, like, a big enemy. In that book, Happy is in hell and is on that same throne that the devil was on. And it's, like, it's literally exactly what he was making fun of. Like, she actually is literally overtaken hell or whatever.
See, I didn't like those so much that I don't even remember anything about them.
Well, and, like, so the adult Gert ends up because she when she goes back to Fairyland in the sequel series, she stays in her adult body. She ends up fighting all these alternate versions of herself, one of whom is a child version that looks like the version from the first series. That version kills the adult Gert, and then we, like, don't really see her again, except for, like, a battle later where all the variant Gerts come back to life, and then she just gets killed again.
Yeah.
Like, this character that we've been following this whole time died.
Yeah. And I just don't... I don't know, there's something different about a grumpy kid versus a grumpy adult. You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, but not only that, This shied away from the tropes.
You kind of said you wondered if he
wanted
it to be was it, and then...
I've seen a theory online that Scotty Young is, like, he told the story when to tell with Fairyland, so when everyone begged for a sequel series and he got greenlit for it again, he's using all the tropes he was making fun of, and he's doing stupid stuff to be like, you guys didn't actually want this, you want the original story.
Right.
And, like, he's using... In the first book, he used tropes to subvert your expectations. In the second book, he just uses the tropes.
Yeah.
And, like, there's even, like, one issue where... So he also wrote... Scotty Young also... I don't know if he wrote them, or if it was, like, a direct one-to-one anthology series, or, whatever. Like, I don't know if it was a one-to-one series thing. But he illustrated the Wizard of Oz graphic novels for, I think, Marvel.
Huh.
But don't quote me on that. I don't know what company it was for. But in the sequel series, there's a character, I think it's Dorothy from the Wizard of Oz, that ends up, like, there's one issue that's, like, entirely focused on her, and she ends up, like, killing, like, this big enemy that it had been, like, leading up to and stuff. And you don't really meet her till that one issue, and then she ends up killing the big bad evil guy. And so it feels like Scotty Young is just kind of doing whatever he wants and doesn't actually care about the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I really liked Fairyland.
I like the
it's
first
fun.
series.
I think it's, like we said, there's a lot of violence in it.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it.
It's fun.
It's kind of like, Final Girls, the movie, where it's just like a good horror comedy type, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't take itself seriously, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, like, one point in there, it may be the guy that Claudia sends after her at the beginning. When she calls him, he's got a dead unicorn on the table. And so just, like, you know, like, and at one point she breaks off the horn of a It's the half man, half unicorn.
Half man, half unicorn.
Yeah, half man, half horse.
Centaur?
Centaur, but he's got a horn.
Yeah.
She breaks off his horn and she's like, "Oh, that'll grow back." Like, I mean, just goofy little stuff like that. But so I really enjoy this one. I have a thing for the artwork, and we've talked about that before when we did the
Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat. Like, if the artwork wasn't what it was, I don't think I would like this as well.
Yeah, and I like how it kind of...
I'm not much of a comic book reader, and you know that just because I have a hard time... Like, I'll read the story, and then I'll go back and look at the pictures, because I have a hard time doing it together. So these pictures just kind of draw you in and keep you in the story.
Well, I like when the art style changes throughout that book, because he uses it in a cool way, because, like, the one you're talking about with anime, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that was a guest artist. And then the comic where it tells Larry's backstory, it starts out in the regular artwork, but then as soon as it goes into the backstory, it's the Simpsons guy drawing it.
Yeah.
And so the way it uses different artwork is really cool.
Yeah. So check it out. It's not one that takes itself too seriously, but we highly recommend the first one.
Yeah.
Not so much the sequel.
Yeah.
But anything else to add on Fairyland?
I don't think so.
Stay tuned next week for book number 2 of the month.
Which is from the...
Red Fog.
Yes, thank you.
He picked it and didn't even know the title of it.
Well, the reason for that is because there's a Minecraft mod called From the Fog.
Oh.
That adds, like, Herobrine stuff in it. And so I always get those two mixed up in the names, not like they're completely different things, but I always get the names mixed up in my head. So, yeah, From the Red Fog.
That is next.